All right, why don't we get started with introductions? I do expect more people to trickle in. Like I said, I'm expecting about 15 in the audience today. So let me really quickly also say a land acknowledgement. And for me, it's really important that we say a land acknowledgement because personally, I have lived in Haven for a very long time and just recently have been learning a lot more about the Golden Hill Paugussett people and their history in the places that I often hike and spend a lot of my own time reflecting in nature and stuff like that. And I've just been learning more and more about their history and also the challenges that they've endured in, being recognized as a tribe either locally or federally. So we acknowledge that Indigenous peoples and nations, including Mohegan, Mashantucket Pequot, Eastern Pequot, Scagatocoke, Golden Hill Paugussett, Niantic, and the Quinnipiac and other Algonquin-speaking peoples, have stewarded through generations the lands and waterways of what is now the state of Connecticut. We honor and respect the enduring relationship that exists between these peoples and nations in this land. And so I kind of said why the land acknowledgement is important to me, but we are always open to hearing your own feedback on our acknowledgement or any other part of today's presentation. Part of our, one of our core commitments at Sci-City is commitment to inclusivity across all dimensions of diversity. So we will provide ways for you guys to leave feedback at the end of today's presentation. All right. So introductions, I'll introduce myself and then I'm going to popcorn it to one of you. And then if you guys could keep popcorning it around, there are some other there's some other presenters here in the audience with me. So we'll go in random order, I guess. So my name is Abby. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Assistant Director of Operations at Sci-City. Let's see, one identity that is important to me today that I have been thinking about is as a dog mom, which is mostly because my dogs have been very distracting during programming lately, and I'm finally getting into a groove where I can sort of get them to occupy themselves while I can stay focused on my job at hand. And what brings me to today's info session is not only am I helping to facilitate today's info session, but I am also the lead of a brand new prize called the Yale Innovators Prize that I'm going to talk more about later. So I'm going to popcorn to Johnny.
Thank you, Abby. I am Johnny Scafidi. I use he, him, his. My first name is actually Johnny, so everybody thinks it's a nickname, but it's actually my birth certificate name, which is kind of funny. It's part of my identity. I am at Dwight Hall at Yale. I'm part of the professional staff there, and I am here because we are working with Sci-City on the New Haven Civic Innovation Prize. So look forward to hearing from everybody here. I am going to popcorn to Winter.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, my name's Winter. My pronouns are she, her, hers. No nicknames, although I do say that I generally respond to just about every season because I get summer, I get autumn quite a bit, so no worries. Identities, I'm from Southeast Ohio in a part of Appalachia, and I have sort of developed a passion for environmental justice based off of my experiences there. So that sort of has brought me to Yale, I guess. I'm over at YSC in the Master of Environmental Management program. I'm a first year, and I'm here to help present about the Sabin Prize. So with Ben, and I can popcorn it right over to Ben.
I thought you might do that, Winter. Thank you. My name is Ben Soltoff. I am in a joint role between CBAE, the Center for Business and Environment at Yale, which is actually physically where I am right now, as well as the Center for Innovative Thinking at Yale Sci-City, focusing on environmental innovation and ideas that address climate change and other environmental challenges. Identity or pronouns he, him, his. An identity that I'll highlight is a resident of planet Earth, which sounds really corny, but I think important to that, especially in environmental work, to recognize that that's an identity that we all share and that is important to identify with strongly. I'm also an alum of the School of the Environment as well as the School of Management, and I am here to support any and all things Startup Yale, but more specifically to talk with Winter about the Sabin Prize. And I will turn it over to Fatima for the next introduction.
Thanks, Ben. Hi, everyone. Good to be here. My name's Fatima. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Nicknames. So my husband and I call each other Fatty, which is kind of embarrassing, but Fatima, Fatty, that's what we do. It's very playful. Identities. So I was born in India. So that's definitely a part of my identity. And I grew up in rural Oklahoma and Texas. So that's also a part of my identity. And I am with Innovate Health Yale, based at the Yale School of Public Health. And I'm going to be talking about Innovate Health Yale and the Thorne Prize and the Wilson Prize. And I will pass it to Matt.
Thanks, Fatima. Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Garrett. I am an Innovation Fellow here at Sci-City. I am here with the Rothberg Catalyzer Prize and helping to manage that. I go by Matt or Matthew in terms of nicknames. In terms of other identities, I am a former, but I'm still recognize myself as a Michigander and proud, like Detroit area person. And also, unfortunately, a Detroit sports fan right now. So there's me. Yeah. Now I'm gonna popcorn to, let's go with Carrie.
Hi, everybody. Just joined. Sorry, my camera's off. My name is Carrie Glenn. Preferences. Sorry, I missed the first couple minutes of this. I don't know what the preferences means. Hello?
That's just if you have any preferred way that you want to be referred to.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, sorry. Carrie's fine. My pronouns are she, hers. I am an MBA and an MESC with the School of the Environment, and I'm interested in learning more about the different opportunities for startup funding and mentorship and all of the above here at Yale. And I will, again, sorry, I missed the first couple of minutes of this. So I'll try a popcorn to Brendan, if Brendan hasn't gone.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Brendan Atkinson, he, him, his, and I'm with the School of Medicine and identities at, say, rural Ohio. And I noticed Winter said Southeast Ohio. I actually went to college in Marietta, Ohio, which I imagine is, she might know, but also like Southeast Ohio. And I'm here just to learn about the prizes and learn more. Okay. Who hasn't gone yet? Alex? Has Alex gone?
Hey, I haven't gone yet. Yeah, I'm Alex. I'm a first-year student at the School of Management, and I'm doing a startup right now. So just interested in learning about the prizes. Sorry, I joined a little late. I'm not sure who's gone yet.
Christine, do you want to go? Or anybody who hasn't gone yet can go.
I can just go next. Hi, my name's Luann. That's actually my preferred name. I'm from Bangkok, Thailand. So like my first, like my birth name is like Duxetti, but nobody here remembers it. So like I use my like the name that my family called me. So Luann is pretty much easier choice. I use she, her, hers, and right now I'm in the MFA program at Yale School of Drama. So my emphasis is kind of like a theater planning. So my identity, I would say that like I'm trying to be a middle person between like art maker and a person who like who's making it come true. And what brought me here, well, I graduate my undergraduate, I graduated in like entrepreneurship. So I'm trying to like get back into like the kind of like that side a little bit. So I kind of don't know when my ideas will like come back again. So I think it's just really good to be like learning about it again. So nice to meet you, everyone.
Vinu, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, my name is Vino, or I go by V. As for identities, my faith is a big part of who I am, so I definitely have an identity as a Sikh woman. Pronouns she, her, hers. I'm a first year MEM, and I'm here out of curiosity. Is that everyone?
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting myself. I don't believe we've heard from Shruti.
Hi, my name is Shruti. My preferred pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm a first year at in Grace Hopper College at Yale. And what brings me to today's info session, also just because I'm really interested in the Startup Prizes and to understand more about how it works, to possibly get going with an idea that I have.
And I don't believe we've heard from Casey.
Hi everyone, I'm Casey. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a first year in Pearson College, and I am here today, like most people, out of curiosity. So yeah.
And I think last but not least, Christine, are you able to unmute yourself and say hi? Or you can introduce yourself through the chat if that's easier. All right, no worries, let's move on. So we're here to talk about Startup Yale today. Startup Yale is a collection of pitch competitions. This year there's going to be 7 different pitch competitions, 7 different prizes, and we are giving out over $125,000. This is definitely the biggest Startup Yale ever by at least 2 prizes. So we're really, really excited about that. And as you've heard from all of the presenters here, we're going to talk about all of those prizes. And I'm going to fill in for a couple of presenters who weren't able to join us today. So really quick overview of those 7 prizes are, there is the Yale Innovators Prize. It's brand new. It is our most general prize, meaning it's agnostic to the field of work or industry of the idea or the team. The Miller Prize, which Matt's going to talk, I'm going to cover for Cassie, is for innovative tech or tech-enabled solutions. The Thorne Prize for improving health or education, which Fatima is going to talk about. The Rothberg Prize for developing an innovative hardware or AI solution, which Matt is going to talk about. The Wilson Prize for addressing U.S. health disparities with technology, again, Fatima. Johnny's going to talk about the New Haven Civic Innovation Prize for benefiting the city of New Haven. And Ben and Winter are going to talk about the Sabin Prize for advancing a more sustainable way of life. Some key dates that I want you guys to capture in your memories and on paper and electronically, or however you want to keep this information fresh. The round 2 mentorship request form is closing very soon. So if you're looking to be matched with a mentor who can meet with you once or twice before Startup Yale and help coach you on your idea, please fill out that form now. You can find that form on the startupyale.com website or on SciCity's website. Most importantly, probably here, is that the full prize application is due March 21st. Co-presenters, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're guessing that the application this year takes about 10 hours to complete. But the good news is that it's one application for all of the prizes that you'll be applying to. So you don't need to do it. If you're applying to 3 different prizes, you don't need to spend 10 hours 3 different times completing it. Lastly, the actual pitch competitions are going to take place from April 29th to May 1st. That's a Thursday through a Saturday this year. Before I move on, any questions about the dates? Great. Okay, so the mentorship application, which I just referenced, is a way to get matched with a mentor who's committed to meeting with you for a minimum of 2 hours to help you prepare for Startup Yale. And that application, again, closes very soon. It closes February 21st. If any of my co-presenters want to throw up the link to that application, that's appreciated. And then there's the actual prize application. So as I just mentioned, I think this year the prize application is probably going to take about 10 hours. That varies from team to team though, and how much information you provide. It's a Qualtrics form. There's a few things here. I don't think that we are requiring the video pitch this year?
No, I think we took that out, as well as the resumes.
I thought so too. Thank you, Fatima, here for correcting my inaccurate information. And so a couple of other things that you need to know is that there are 7 prizes, but we've limited applications to 3 prizes per team or idea. So for instance, if you've got a health-related innovation, you might see yourself as fitting into 4 prizes this year because we have the General Prize, we have Wilson, we have Thorne, we have Rothberg. You might even fit into 5 prizes because the Miller Prize is General Tech. Unfortunately, you're going to have to prioritize which of those prizes you think your team best suits the criteria for. So any questions about the application? All right, we'll also leave time at the end to answer questions. So the application opens on February 22nd, which is really soon, and it closes March 21st. And then we'll take the pool of applicants per prize, and with a selection committee, we'll narrow it down to 4 finalists per prize. In all except for the Yale Innovators Prize, except for the Yale Innovators Prize, those 4 finalists will pitch live in front of a judging panel. For the Yale Innovators Prize, we are innovating this year. We're going to try a new attempt, and we will either do pre-recorded pitches or we're going to do a different pitch format. So stay tuned for more information about that. And then the winner is chosen at that pitch competition. Again, those competitions are taking place between April 29th and May 1st. And apologies for losing my voice. Excuse me. So what resources are available to students interested in Startup Yale? We have mentorship, we have office hours, and we have loads of professional skill building workshops. I think we're going to link out to some individual information there, but you can always, Sci-City offers, for instance, the Innovators Toolkit Workshop Series. And so if you just go to city.yale.edu/programs, you'll find a lot of our skill building workshops there. I will definitely link to office hours per prize, and mentorship. We just talked about the mentorship application. So before we go into the first prize, whoops, I'm already jumping ahead of myself. Just want to leave time for questions one more time. Any question about anything that I've talked about up until now?
Abigail, I have a quick question about the technology-related prize. Maybe you'll get to this, but I was just curious, kind of like what qualifies as technology or technology-enabled? How broad is that definition?
Yeah, for the Brian Miller Prize, that's a very broad definition. I've seen apps win that prize, Snack Pass, for instance. I want to say that that prize has run for a total of 3 years. And so when we get to that slide, I'll cover who the 3 previous winners are, which I think does a better job of illustrating who is an ideal candidate, but not necessarily, right? Like I don't want the previous winning teams to make anybody feel like they're excluded or pigeonholed into fitting into that prize. And then there's like the highly specific Rothberg Prize, for instance, which is health tech or biomedical tech specifically. So does that answer your question?
Yes, that's helpful. Thanks.
Yep. Any other questions before we move on? All right, Fatima, you're up.
Thanks, Abby. Hey everyone, I'm Fatima. I'm with Innovate Health Yale. So we are a program in social impact and entrepreneurship based at the School of Public Health. And my team and I really focus on supporting students in developing innovations that address healthcare, public health disparities, and education disparities in under-resourced communities. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Sorry, technical glitch. I just lost my presentation.
No worries. So Abby mentioned 2 of the prizes that we're putting on during Startup Yale. The first one is the Thorn Prize for $25K. And that one, I think we have another slide that goes into it in a little bit more detail. And then there's the Wilson Prize, which is also a part of Startup Yale, that is for $10,000. Thanks, Abby. So the Thorn Prize is a $25,000 award for a venture focused on social innovation in health or education. And our 2020 winner was Your Farm. So they are creating a tool that allows people living in Cameroon to find medication more easily and find medication that's safe. I think I just put 1 past winner. Can you move forward? Yeah, so I'll talk really briefly about kind of the scope of the past winners for the Thorn Prize. So Your Farm won last year, and the year before Your Farm, there was actually an education technology application that won. So what we're really looking for here is an innovation that is creating social change in health or education. So it could really go either way. And once I'm done presenting, I'll put some links in the chat that talk about all of the past winners, so you can actually go back and look at what they've done and look at their websites as well. Thanks, Abby. So the Wilson Prize is a $10,000 award for a venture focused on creating a tech solution to address a health disparity. This is the second year for this award for us, and the inaugural winner was a company called COVIDX, who focuses on diagnosing blood diseases. And they're starting with sickle cell, but we'll move into other things. So this one is really focused on a health disparity using some type of tech tool or device. And it's also focused on lower resourced areas in the US. So for this one, we're looking for devices, tools, innovations that are going to kind of close or begin to close a health gap in the US. Thanks, Abby. So there's a ton of more information on IHY's website, and my email is there. So please take a look, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, Fatima. All right, up next we have Matt talking about the Rothberg Catalyzer Prize.
Okay, thanks, Abby. Yeah, so the Rothberg Catalyzer Prize is for $15,000, and that goes to a student-led venture that is focused on hardware and or AI solution, and solely for medical challenges. Now, just to give you like a brief overview of some winners, especially on the question carry of like the types of tech. So the last year's winner was Control Trial, which matches patients for clinical trials. This is made like using AI. So you can see this more like the higher, I guess, higher, end of the tech side of it, or more technical, I guess is the better way of framing that. And then you can see the next year, 2019 last prize, I was On Track Rehab, which is another like more advanced tech, because I was using a lot of hardware. There's 3 pieces of hardware in that one. It was with VR, AR. There was so much tech in that one. But the other cool part I'll mention about these 2 prizes is that, if you're applying to Startup Yale, this can be like a launch pad to different things. Both of these things have actually gone on to great, like with more funding. Actually, all 3 of the winners for the last 3 years for Rothberg have actually used Startup Yale as like a launch pad for other funding. And then on the other side of the tech side is Penta, which was, they help repurpose equipment for amputees. So this one doesn't have AR, but is or AI, AI, but it does have like that hardware component. It's actually a physical item. However, if you're looking at, I know there's a lot of different health prizes this year. If you were Penta, you might consider other ones just because Rothberg Catalyzer can sometimes lean towards higher ends. So just a heads up, because there are so many prizes this year. If you're looking, debating between different health prizes, that's just the one way to maybe think about it. It doesn't mean you can't win Rothberg, but that's just another thing to be thinking about. And then my last slide is just my contact information. If I can be helpful in any way, also Abby mentioned Innovators Toolkit. I also run that. So if you're, want to come hang out in some of our toolkits, those are just individual workshops. Feel free to, and also feel free to reach out about any questions about really anything, because that's my job. So thanks, Abby.
Thanks, Matt. All right, moving on. Oh, even more resources from the Sci-City team. These apply to all of the prizes, not just Rothberg or any of the prizes that I present on, or yeah, I guess we're representing most of the Sci-City prizes. So you can sign up for office hours with anybody from our team for any of the Startup Yale prizes, or for mentoring in general on your innovative idea. And again, linking out to skill building workshops and programs. And oh, we're on to me. Okay, I'm going to talk about the Yale Innovators Prize, which I'm really excited about because this is the pilot year of a completely general, agnostic, generic might not be the right word. General is the right word, prize. So basically, we didn't want to leave any ideas or ventures or innovations out of Startup Yale. We wanted to have a place where somebody who was maybe developing a new food product, or had a new nonprofit community campaign that they wanted to launch, or an art project or something like that. We wanted to have a place where those teams and ideas could land, and that is the Yale Innovators Prize. And we're taking advantage of this pilot year to also shake up some of the processes that we use in the selection and judging and presentation or pitch process, to be more innovative, but most importantly, to be more inclusive. So I don't know, Matt, maybe you're the right person, or Ben, to throw up the link to Song Ma's research, but based on some research coming out of faculty member Song Ma, who's at the School of Management, we have decided to use the Yale Innovators Prize to pilot a non-live pitch competition. I'm really excited to see what format this is going to take. It might be a pre-recorded pitch that people can watch asynchronously, or it might actually be a non-in-person pitch. So we'll see. That is still TBD, but the rest of the details have been ironed out. You can always reach out to me for more information about the Yale Innovators Prize. We're also partnering with the School of Management program on entrepreneurship, who are generously donating part of the prize. But yeah. And I'm also going to talk about the Miller Prize. So the Miller Prize is actually, the team lead is Cassie Tucker. She can't be here today. She's in professional training. It's a $15,000 prize for the venture or nonprofit with the potential to produce the greatest impact. That's not right. I think one of these slides might have gotten messed up. So the Miller Prize is our general tech prize, as you guys saw from the first page. And I believe it's $25,000, not $15,000. So I'm just going to scoot back real quick and go back to the actual description of the Miller Prize for you all. Okay, yeah, the Miller Prize for innovative tech or tech-enabled solutions. So yeah, that's a pretty broad definition. Let's see if we have some slides here telling you who's won in the past. And if not, I can definitely pull up the winners of this prize. So bear with me. Yes. So in 2017, Eric's won. Eric's is working on a robot that climbs along oil carrying pipes to detect corrosion, because right now that's a completely manual job that has to be done by a highly skilled diver. It's incredibly dangerous. It would take hundreds or thousands of more man hours than we could possibly provide to actually check for all potential corrosion and correct the problem before a leak happens. Whereas with the invention of this robot that can detect rust, we can deploy many more of these, detect corrosion faster, cover more square footage of pipe surface, and save billions of dollars and save lives because the divers' jobs are so dangerous. Snack Pass won in 2018. This is an app that allows you to skip the line. As many of you might be aware, you can pre-order all of your local restaurants here in New Haven and go and pick up your food without waiting in line. I think they're even getting in on the delivery game. I know you definitely use Snack Pass if you order at Olmo right now. They've also raised, I think, close to $3 million in seed funding. In 2019, Prepared won. Prepared is a decentralized one-touch mobile alert system to streamline communications and emergency responses for schools. So they, for instance, would create an emergency response system in a school shooting incident that would allow a much faster emergency response. So like I said, Cassie is the lead for the Miller Prize this year. Here's her email if you have questions specifically about the Miller Prize. But again, you can speak to any one of us. Over to you, Johnny.
Thank you, Abby, and hi to everybody. The New Haven Civic Innovation Prize is one of the newer prizes, and in addition to Sci Center for Innovative Thinking, Dwight Hall at Yale helps administer this prize. I'm on that staff. And for those who don't know, Dwight Hall is the Center for Public Service and Social Justice at Yale. We are ourselves a not-for-profit housed on the Yale campus, so we know how nonprofits think. Puts us in a good position for this prize in terms of management. The reason we say that we award up to $10,000 for the best student or community-led venture project or policy implementation focused on benefiting the city of New Haven is that our judges may elect to award 2 prizes because, Abby, you can go on to the next slide. Because our prize aims to catalyze student and community-led innovations that address and are informed by community priorities. So that gives us a large bucket of potential projects to work with. And also because community members, students, or teams with a combination of students and community members are eligible to apply for this prize. So this is, I believe, the one prize that is open to members of the broader New Haven community at large. But the spirit of the prize is held to the same standards as the other prizes as well. And so specifically for this year, the prize will focus on projects that are addressing key areas of community development, specifically related to the health and economic crises caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. We can talk a bit more about that if people have questions, but it still leaves a lot of room. In terms of past winners, there was one previous year for this prize, And there are two winners that we can speak of. One is Havenly, which if you've ordered baklava from them, you know how good they are. But you also hopefully know about their social impact mission and training women who are refugees and local residents to lift their families up and shape their communities through this business development program. So Havenly was one, and the other is DreamKit, which uses some higher technology to empower local youth, and it is an app that supports unstably housed youth under 25 in the greater New Haven region, helping them find resources, helping them link up with places like Y2Y New Haven or Youth Continuum or other resources that are available to them. In terms of our team, we have several resources to offer you in terms of our staff. Really, our whole professional staff is available to you, and also we're happy to extend contacts of ours in the community as well to help you find partners, develop your ideas, etc. You can use me as a general contact. I'll pop my email into the chat to make it.
Johnny, you muted.
Didn't mean to mute there. I was saying you can contact me. I popped my email address in there, and I can help triage you to the right person on our staff to help you best.
Thank you, Johnny. Take it away, Ben and Winter.
Winter's going
Awesome.
to kick
Can you
us
hear
off.
me? Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, Ben. So the saving prize, $25,000 with a venture with the potential to produce the greatest impact. I feel like that's pretty straightforward. The next slide provides a little more detail. And
that's another one where I think we had a template that we redid. It should be a venture that produces the environmental benefits for society.
awesome. And I will note it's for-profit ventures only. So I know through CB, there are a number of different grants. If you're interested in starting a nonprofit, we have the climate innovation grants. Those happen every year. But this prize specifically is for-profit ventures. You're required to have one Yale student involved in the venture. And we are looking for concepts that are commercially viable, but also produce environmental benefits for society. So students who are interested in multidisciplinary approaches to environmental problem solving, this is the prize for you.
I can share a little bit about some of these examples. Some of them are before Winter's time and connections. The Sabin Prize goes back, I think, further than any of the other Startup Yale Prizes, over 10 years at this point, which is really exciting. You know, CBA had been doing the Sabin Prize for a while, and it's been great that now it's part of $125,000 in prizes. I think this is maybe the first year that we've cracked 100,000, or at least gotten this many prizes and this total amount. Sylvia Terra was way back in the early days, and they're an interesting example because they won the Sabin Prize. It was a YSE or then FES student and an undergrad, and they wanted to help landowners better map and keep track of their forest inventory. They were saying, hey, there's these things called drones, there's satellite. These smaller landholders can use technology to get more information out of their forests. And for about 7-8 years, they operated as a smaller company that really served the needs of these landowners. They continue to serve the needs of those landowners, but saw there is this big market now going on for carbon. So they partnered with Microsoft a few years ago to map every tree in North America, using some direct measurements and some assessments and estimates. And they really amped up their tools. And now they're continuing to work with those small landholders, but they're selling carbon offsets in these much larger markets, and they're developing new techniques and tools for selling carbon offsets. So they've actually just started to scale, only in the last year, raise venture capital funding. And so they're an example of starting as a small business, getting a lot of success, and then when the time was right, scaling up. Next example, this is Renewal Mill. The founders of Renewal Mill were looking into the process of making tofu, and they realized that there was this soy byproduct called okara that was just getting thrown out when tofu was made. is basically this grainy flour. And they said that doesn't make any sense. That's good food that can be used for something. So they created a whole side supply chain to use that okara to make flour. And so that product you're seeing there is an example of the flour, but they also make delicious cookies out of it. They were featured on PBS in the past year, and you can find them in some Whole Food stores to this day. Next slide. Symbrosia, another cool example. I worked with this team directly. Alexia, who's pictured there, read a study that Asparagopsis taxiformis, apologies Alexia if I got the Latin name wrong, but that is a seaweed algae that when added as just a small part of cattle feed, reduces methane emissions by a huge percentage. In the study that Alexia found, it was 90-something%. Subsequent studies have found that it's more 70, 80, but still a huge percentage. And no one was growing it commercially. So Alexia said, why don't we try to do that? And why don't we try to grow it in this symbiotic relationship with shrimp? So we can have shrimp on one end, algae on the other end, sell the shrimp to restaurants and sell the algae to cattle farmers. So they won the Haven Prize, where Alexia's picture there is what they used the money for, which is a test facility just next to Yale's campus, where it's the same building where the City Climb gym is. They got a system that worked pretty well there, found another co-founder who was the technical lead, and then they moved to Hawaii, and they are now building up their venture even more. Hawaii is a big place for aquaculture, not a bad place to live either. They're on all parts of aquaculture. They're in all sorts of aquaculture accelerators. They're hiring summer interns if anyone isn't working on a venture but wants a summer internship. So really cool to see their progress and growth since winning the Haven Prize. Next example, and I think this is one that Winter's going to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love this example with Green Gear. Russell and Monica, I had the privilege of speaking with them just a couple of months ago, and they told me, we remember actually bringing up the prize application and thinking we're not going to submit this, like we're not ready. Who's going to be interested in ponchos? And they decided to finally submit it, and then they won the prize. So it was just a really cool example of the fact that you should have confidence in your ideas. So Green Gear right now, their first product in a line of products are ponchos. They're made of sugar-based bioplastic, and actually the process that they go through to create the ponchos is means that the ponchos themselves have a carbon negative life cycle. So just really interesting concept. It's the first of what they hope are many products that are alternative to sort of petroleum-based products in plastics. So it's really exciting to see sort of how they've progressed. They also developed, some of their ponchos were used as to help support PPE during the COVID crisis. So really interesting applications.
Then I'll share this last one. Our winner last year was Flow. They actually won all 3 of our CBAY prizes last year, which was really exciting. They have a technical solution for ice dams forming on roofs. Ice dams are when ice builds up and then the ice captures more melting water and eventually gets so heavy that the roof can cave in, which is really bad if you have a roof over your head or you have a warehouse with a roof. So the traditional way to get rid of ice dams is heating cables, which use a lot of energy and electricity. You basically have these wires running through the roof that heat it up. So what Flow did is they used drip irrigation tubes and a saline solution that's only applied based on when icy or snowy weather is expected. And it has a kind of an Internet of Things technology to do that will melt the ice off of the roof. So, it definitely prevents the environmental damage of building a whole new roof, but it also uses a fraction of the electricity and energy of traditional ice dam solutions. And they just won an ASU Internet of Things prize, which is really exciting, for $100,000. I got to remotely deliver the big check to them on behalf of ASU. Is kind of just a fun thing to do. So cool to keep in touch with that team as well. So that's our last example. And I think what all of these examples show is that Winter and I are super excited about all these ideas because they're awesome, as are many of the other ideas that didn't win but are still going on to do great things. And there's a variety of different environmental impacts that they focus on. It's not just energy, it's not just food and agriculture, it's not just forest. There's a number of different ways that a sustainable venture can have benefits for the environment. Do you want to talk about our resources?
Yeah, real quick, if we go back one slide. So we have a lot of support at CBAY. I had no idea just sort of the intricacies of the network of support until I joined the CBAY team. But as you sort of apply, if you have any questions, if you need support in the process or just support with your idea and your venture in general, we have the CBAY resident fellows. They're there. You can book office hours. You can also book office hours with our entire environmental startup funding team. So we have 3 students from YSC and SOM and Ben as well. And we're more than happy to sort of support those efforts as well. And yeah, make sure to reach out if you have any more questions. Either of us are around and willing to meet up or answer quick questions over email. So.
Thank you, Ben and Winter. All right, I'm gonna open it up to prize specific questions right now. Does anybody have a prize specific question? And while you guys are thinking of your questions, this page just recaps a lot of the information that we touched on. Some things that I want to point out here are the total amounts of the prizes, whether or not you can be a nonprofit or a for-profit and apply for the prize, Sabin being the for-profit only one. 2 prizes here have a geographic preference of being in the US. And then, oops, sorry, just to recap the focus of the prize here. So a nice visual recap for you all while you're thinking of your questions. If you don't have questions, that's fine. That just tells me that we did a hopefully decent job. While you're reviewing that, are there any questions?
I have another question. I'm sure I could find this online, but while everyone's on the line, might as well ask the experts. What kind of stage should this idea or venture be in order to participate or pitch?
I will take a stab at answering that, but then I'm definitely going to defer to my colleagues on being sort of the application review experts. Questions we're looking at. So you're actually being reviewed not completely in a standalone environment, but against your peers as well. And we're going to look at things like, if you're coming to us with a tech-enabled solution, does your team have the tech expertise that it needs to launch this product? We're going to look at other milestones, such as, do you have a beta prototype, if it's the kind of thing that needs a physical prototype? Have you started working on that? Have you got a business model canvas or a financial model? And it's not that you have to have reached, you have to have completed all of these milestones. It's sort of a cumulative effect of having proven viability. If we award you the money, or if we select you as a finalist, is it likely that you're going to see this idea through to its launch? But I'll leave it to my colleagues to hopefully better explain.
I can chime in on this one. Great question, Carrie. I think we ask if you're in the prototyping stage or the ideation stage, or if it's actually on the market, and any of those stages are able to apply, and any of them are eligible for the prize. But I think that, as Abby said, we also look at these different criteria. And so, if it's something that you just kind of slapped on a whiteboard, 3 hours before submitting the application, you may not have thought through the kind of detailed information you would need to know whether this is really viable. Do you need to have something actually on the market and, in stores or, for sale for it to be viable? Not necessarily, but does it help to have talked to a bunch of customers and know what they need and really understand that in an in-depth way? Absolutely. So, we've gotten plenty of ideas that are still you still would consider in the ideation stage because they haven't built a prototype. Like Ambrosia is a great example of that. They hadn't built a system because it's expensive to build a whole aquaculture system. They designed a system. They said, this is what we'd like to build if we had the money. They, they talked to restaurants and said, would you buy our shrimp? Would you like this story? They talked to cattle farmers, and they tried to get in touch with those associations. So, prior to applying and throughout the year, they had that whole process going on, but they were still in the ideation phase. So I think the idea needs to be somewhat fleshed out and somewhat developed to be able to address these different criteria, but it doesn't need to have hit specific milestones of progress.
Thanks, Ben. Does anybody else want to chime in or add to that? I think this slide does a really great job of summing up the criteria that we are looking at, or that the selection committee is looking at too.
And we'll have more details on this criteria on each of our prize pages and on kind of the Startup Yale prize page as well.
Thank you, everybody. Carrie, I think that answers your question.
It does.
Any other questions? Sorry if I keep blocking part of the screen or part of the slide. All right, just want to remind you guys of some key dates. That March 21st application deadline is really, really the most important date on here. But also our mentorship request form closes very soon. And you have to be available for the pitch competitions, April 29th through May 1st. Of course, we're doing this virtually so that, enables a lot of people to participate from across the globe, but maybe not at super convenient hours. Again, we're giving away over $125,000 this year. Really excited about that. That deadline, one more time. I can't make it clear enough. Don't miss the deadline, guys. I think it's technically 11:59 p.m. on March 21st. And I think, like Fatima just said, you can go to the startupyale.com website to learn more, to look back at previous winners, to look at previous judges. There's lots of information there, and there's even more information coming all the time. And I would love feedback on today's info session. So I'm going to plug this in the chat, but if y'all could just take a minute and drop us some feedback so that we can make this better for, let me make sure I get the link right before I send it out. Event feedback. Yeah, we appreciate being able to improve on our information and our processes. So while you guys are doing that, that's the end of our presentation. We're here for questions for the next 4 minutes. Or go ahead and, if you had questions for other people who, who are here attending today, questions for each other, that's fine too. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you to all my co-presenters. Thank you to all of the students and everybody who showed up to ask questions today. We are looking forward to receiving your applications.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.